Hi.
Hey, how are ya?
I'm so good. Just crying.
What? Oh, because of the show. Because of the show. Oh my gosh. Well, Rosario Dawson, welcome to the Variety After Show.
Thank you.
And tell me what you're feeling right now. It seems like it's a little raw.
Oh, it's so emotional. It was so interesting. That was the moment I'm guessing was the big conversation that Andy and Jay had when we were filming like episode 4 or 5. And he wanted to know how it ended. Meanwhile, I shot 2 scenes from episode 10 before I even read the episode because I was just really trying to milk it for as long as I possibly could before it felt like it was ending. And but he asked all the way back then, and I remember Andy was talking to him and answering his questions, and Jay started getting like really emotional about it. And I left, and I came back at another time a couple hours later, and Jay was sitting there and getting teary, and he was like, "I was just thinking about what you said, what the ending's going to be." And I was like, "Guys, stop talking about it in front of me. I couldn't imagine what it could be." And now finally watching it and seeing this vision of Andy's come to life, and what Jay knew, so many, months ago. It's really powerful to have been on this journey with these characters, and to see where they end up.
Yeah, let's talk about that ending. Okay, so where is Allegra now? Where do you think she has driven off to? What is she doing with her life? What is she
Oh,
doing
I
during
mean,
quarantine? What is she doing during quarantine?
I think she's being quite handy, and probably doing a lot of research, and helping people. I think, you know, that there's an actual idea that exists. Andy was telling me about. He had a second and third season, sort of as part of the anthology kind of series, that could happen. So, we could see. But, what I loved about this story is that you can, now from this point on, you can binge watch. Anybody could just binge watch all 10 episodes back to back, which is my new favorite way to watch TV now. It's so hard to be stuck on cliffhangers. And this series does such a, this show does such a good job of
Yes.
you know, begging questions, and being as a problem solver, just like aching to want to have those questions answered, and every single time you do, getting more questions added to it. Like it's great how it just leaves you every episode, but you do on the 10th one, like, get that really satisfying sort of moment where you just, everything around, all the questions get answered, everybody gets revisited again in the storylines. It was powerful to kind of just go through that just now.
And then, okay, so this is going to be kind of spoilery filled, but the way that we start the show, we also there's something circular about that because
Hmm.
Eve meets a similar fate at the end.
Yeah.
I thought that was very for a closed-ended story. Like that's the kind of satisfaction that you want in a show like this.
Yeah. 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 It just kept building,
Yeah.
like each beat of this episode really kept building, and each moment, I think, I was so deserving. There's such great characters and storylines that are all built through this, and the performances are so brilliant, and the actors just really made a meal out of each moment of, this creation of this world. And so kind of going back and revisiting, the scene with John, just cutting to him, in bed typing, is just feels so powerful. Like I love this whole world, and how it ends up, because you care about everybody so much, that it gives you, in this last episode, something to kind of keep growing and building. So you feel it by the time you get to the finale scene, emotional scene. I feel like you've kind of kept kind of getting these little Easter eggs of like possibilities of a further story to be, if there is, but just the satisfaction of just like, the comeuppance, you know what I mean? And kind of, I think that's one of the things I've loved the most about this show is sort of the hierarchy. Everybody has these positions, and they're working these power dynamics at all times, but you see it
Yeah.
shift depending on who's in the room. Someone's lording over someone else, and then the next one they're groveling, or like really, and it just was so fascinating to watch people play these characters full range,
Yeah.
scene to scene, and kind of build the story that way. It was really great not to just have anyone playing anything one note.
I loved Alan Cumming's character. I mean, talk about being a great, I don't even know. I mean, I feel like everyone was kind of a villain, right? To an extent. Like there's nobody's hands are really clean in this show.
Yeah.
And the world, like you talked about building the world itself, and I was describing it to everybody before you logged on. It's weird, but I found it like I mean that in a good way. Like it is quirky, it is dark. It's got a
Hmm.
killer soundtrack. You're wearing
Yeah.
power suits. I was jealous of all your power suits.
Yes, that's Anna Lily Amirpour. Thank God, she had his vision for Allegra looking like Bianca Jagger, and when I look at
Yes.
it all the way down to the end and walking off in that suit, I am so glad she had that idea. It just really carried all the way through, and this woman's posture, like she's
Yeah.
really, this story is really about seeing where someone's come from and what they've gone through to get to where they are now, and looking in the mirror to see, was it worth it? And what are they going to do next? And it was just, it was a powerful journey to go through with her. She's a really dynamic woman.
So as of now, there is not a second season. But if there were a potential for a second or a third, does that mean that Allegra could come back? And would you be willing to come back?
I would love to come back. I think there could be room. I don't know how or what that exactly would look like down the line. But if this show got kept going, I think the team of people who surmised this first potential season to getting into a second one, I think would I just it would there's so many more bits and pieces and avenues to explore that are hinted at already in this first one, that for what I know of could be a possibility for a second season. I just know would be really delicious for people because it's just such fun storytelling, and I just love puzzles. So getting to kind of spin off with these characters and newer characters again, and try to kind of solve yet another situation, I think would be really, as a fan, I think it would be really wonderful to be able to have more of this kind of content. And I do know maybe down the line, maybe Allegra could come back, and I would just, I think I'd like to be able to see if I can get her into some flats. But other than that, I'm sure they'll get me running again. But other than that,
Yeah,
this
there's
is adore stepping into her shoes again and seeing where she is now. Would be such a dramatic shift from where I imagine from what she's just gone through. She could never be the same.
Well, now that it's all ended, but while you were shooting it, how much of this story did you know? Like, did you read ahead? Did you ask for the plot point? No, not at all. No, you wanted to
No,
be
no.
right there with it.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I asked a lot of backstory kind of questions, but I didn't necessarily want to know where it was going. I kind of liked that idea. She shows up and says she figures she might be there a week when she first checks into the hotel, and in just her mindset, she just imagines she's just going to be able to handle that and just get it all done. And, it's not perfunctory in any kind of way to be dealing with the death of a loved one, and especially a younger sister. And she just doesn't even know how to process that, because spoiler, but she didn't, that wasn't something, she didn't have a close relationship with her parents, and so she's gone through a lot of loss in her life, and it's just made her, I think, quite hard and fierce and powerful and resilient and all these incredible qualities. But also I think it gave her a darker kind of edge than she even realized she had. And that's why she couldn't even process that it would be challenging really to get to the bottom of her sister's murder. She put on her investigative hat, and she just figured it would be something that wouldn't be as heartbreaking as it actually ended up being for her. And I think that was really exciting to explore.
Now, as you moved through and as you were shooting, did you have an idea that Eve and Jean were behind the whole thing, and they would ultimately be
I
brought to
mean, that's the
justice?
thing, is that like there's so many people behind so many
Yes.
different aspects. There's so much responsibility, and while she's, and I think was so powerful for the journey. And while she's been looking outside of herself to see who's responsible, she also has to come to terms with the fact, which I think you see really strongly in episodes 9 and 10, that she has culpability, that she truly has to reckon with. And so I think it's just, I love that complexity, you know, and so you can kind of get into the nuances of why people, you know, it was not just one person's fault. And there's no one person to just be like, you're evil, you're the bad person, and it's your fault. You know, it's all of these different people making these choices around their egos and their greed and their hubris and, you know, their naivete, you know, and all of it kind of creating this maelstrom where they could each individually convince themselves they were doing it for the right reasons. I don't think anyone saw themselves as a bad guy, but everybody was culpable. And for her to, and that's why actually it was so hard, because she was looking for a person. And I think when you start to realize, you know, to hit a domino and have it go, it's because all of them fell, you know, and like,
Right.
It's not just that beginning to the end, it's every single, that's why this was so hard to figure out. And that's why I think it was such a fun puzzle for people to try to figure out, because everyone was complicit in some way, shape, or form. And it was fascinating to figure out how all of their human error, mistakes, egotistical choices somehow culminated in this insane ride.
You know who I really wanted to see more of a backstory with was Barbara Jean.
When she starts crooning, she's so good.
She was so good. That caught
Oh
me
my
off
God.
guard, but I think my favorite line was "Die in a fire, Barbara Jean." That was just
And I got to do that over and over and over again.
I just wanted
And
to
she
know
would come up with all
more.
these one-liners. She's an amazing improver.
Right. So that was definitely a relationship. I think I just wanted to see more of the world, especially like when Allegra still lived there, maybe
Yeah.
even when her parents were still there. What was your favorite relationship that Allegra had? Like your favorite one-on-one relationship that she had?
I mean, I think, you know, and she would want it to have been her and her sister. And the moments that I got to have that experience with Allegra was really sweet, but it was so brief. And I could see that the thing that really got her, that just really was her whole childhood, especially going into that reunion scene.
Yeah.
There is something so fun in playing, sort of getting to have that idea of what Allegra must have been like in high school. You know, you look at this woman in this power suit with the hair and the whole thing, you know what I mean? But she was also a teenager at one point, struggling to kind of figure out what her voice was. And that was really fun to do it and be there with, you know, Jay's character, Jake, and recognizing that that was the person she got through and navigated through high school with. And, you know, she didn't peak in high school, but she still made some poor choices that led to some like crazy situations in high school from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But I would have to say, yeah, I'd have to say it's definitely Jake. You know, he's been family. You know, he was family to her in a way that she allowed herself to experience, and it definitely taught her a lot about life and love, for sure.
I'm glad you brought up family because a lot of us are spending a lot of time with our families right now. How are you doing? What have you been up to in this whole crazy situation that we're in right now?
I just have to say that I'm grateful that I can be here with my parents and be looking out for them. My dad's been on this cancer journey for over a year now, and now he
Wow.
is 4 months cancer free, which with pancreatic cancer is like a woo-hoo.
Yeah.
And I'm here with my mom, and so you know, I'm able to kind of at least have that anxiety quelled of like knowing that they're okay. But it's also means I'm 3,000 miles away from my boyfriend,
Yeah.
who I love and miss very much, and who's been doing quite a lot and being supportive of him while he's been working on the stimulus bill and just trying to highlight different organizations that are trying to help fill in the gaps where the stimulus package is not going to be helpful for people, and the inequality of different people's experiences during here. So, you know, I'm able to make sure hopefully, who knows? Every day you take every day as the blessing that it is. But so far, I've been able to, know that my parents are okay. And there's just a lot of people out there who are very worried, and we've lost people. I'm sure you're already experiencing that potentially as well, even through your
Mm-hmm.
friends. It's a very real situation, and so, how are you doing?
Uh, whatever. I think it's day by day, like you said. And I think sometimes hour by hour, it does feel like today, because it's been about a month now, people really started to it's starting, the edges are starting to fray a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of us are leaning on things on shows that we can binge watch and on the movies that bring us comfort and the
Yeah.
content and all that. I'm curious though, does your boyfriend, does he ever run by like ideas by you, or do you ever pitch him ideas about, your own? Because I know you pay attention to this stuff.
Yeah, we definitely send each other videos of like this could be us, but you playing kind of thing. So we'll definitely figure out something that we could try to do together. Just in general, if there's a chance that we can jump on one of each other's live as well with this, and he can answer questions because people have a lot of questions, especially about what access and resources this bill has for people and from housing and rent and all kinds of things for different communities. But I try to share the different artists things, and yeah, and then in the meanwhile, just try to just spend time with each other, watching things or reading to each other,
Yeah,
watching each
yeah.
other cook. I cook.
Oh, what do you cook and what does he cook?
I cook pretty much everything, and I'm glad I got to do that for him for Valentine's Day. We got to spend a
Oh,
couple days together in a row, just cooking and eating, and so it's sad because I'm not able to do that. We're not able to
right,
do that for each other right now.
right, right.
Um, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I read somewhere that running for office is actually on your bucket list. Is that true?
maybe,
Yeah?
maybe we'll see. We'll see, maybe.
Any idea
Um,
of what kind of office? Have you asked Corey for tips?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be something I would be doing now. I probably would go to school first. And it's interesting to fathom what a goal or an idea kind of going forward is, in this moment in time. I
Mm-hmm.
have, you know, Studio 189 to Vote the Latino to Lower East Side Girls Club to so many different things that take, so much of my heart and my mind, and so I want to continue figuring out ways to support all the different organizations that I care about, um, and keep just growing as a person so I can get to that point where I can step into that kind of leadership. But I feel like, being an advocate and an activist and being supportive of so many other people who are doing that work, including like right now, I'm not running for office right now, but there are a lot of people. We are in an election year, you know, we have to be filling out our census forms and guaranteeing for the next 10 years, every community has the resources that it needs over this next 10 years. Like these are the things that we could all be doing right now. Maybe in the future, one day I'll run for office, but the moment that is right now is just calling to, taking it day by day, as you said, and seeing how we can be effective in this moment. So it's
Yeah.
hard for me to think about like in the future where I'm going, oh my God, we're in election year right now. Like who are we putting into power to handle this crisis and the years to follow up after it? Like this is definitely a moment when people talk about, I don't really get registered or I don't vote or I don't do these different things because I don't have the time to really kind of go over stuff. It's like, now's your time, and it's very, very serious who is, pulling the levers of power, right now, and always has been and always will be, but particularly right now, this is a really important and key moment to participate.
What do you see then as the most pressing issue? There are many, but what's the one that you feel like is the most important one in this upcoming election?
Well, climate change is the number one, and I think is the number one issue that everyone is another universal crisis that we're all going through. And it might seem a little slower, but when you're seeing trillions of dollars being spent right now to deal and alleviate with the problem right here, when what we also could be doing is really looking about how we can create not just how we can stop a recession or something in the short term, but what we can really create a new economy, a new culture, a new society that really looks at the fact that we're moving more and more towards AI, that we don't have equality, which we're seeing very much right now with the people who are out there having to work and risk their lives, and how well they're being compensated or not. Are people having to lose their homes over this? Are people able to have the safety gear that they need? Are people able to keep paying their rent? Are people being paid a living wage? Do people have access to healthcare? Are people able to have access to online resources? They can keep studying and learning while they're being told to stay home, so they can get jobs. Like there's so many different questions. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It's just yeah, it's just it's a really critical moment, I think, for people. If you're feeling bored, to understand that that's a privilege, because there's a lot of people in severe alarm right now, and I'm filled with it, because I'm talking to people daily and seeing what their experiences are and what we are going to do to create a safety net for people moving forward. And so that's what I'm looking for when I'm looking at this election, and who's speaking to that, and how we're going to hold them to the fire, to not, again, just to deal with this problem, but the long-term issues that keep making it so that moments like this is not dealt with humanely and with dignity for everyone.
Great message. It's also impacted your work, I'm sure, your projects. And I have to ask, Mandalorian, has that been impacted at all by this?
That's not confirmed yet, but when that happens, I will be very happy, and we will definitely have a moment for the fans.
It's not confirmed yet.
There's no confirmation, so I'm very excited for that to be confirmed at some point. It's a possibility. If it happens, I mean, this is to the fans 1,001%. And I'm hoping, and I'm not trying to be greedy, but if, since we're talking about Star Wars and we're talking about fans, like fan casting, because if I get Mandalorian, it's 1,001% because of fans.
Oh, this is not confirmed
also the
yet.
Star Trek.
Oh.
Okay, that's it. I'm just putting it out there. Just the two universes, Star Trek and Star Wars. I get in those two. I'm telling you, man, that's it. I will just retire. And then I can just concentrate on going to school and running for office. That will be.
Okay, I see. So the order on the bucket list is that
Star Wars and Star Trek. That's it. That's the moment, and that's it.
Okay, let's take those in order. Then. Let's say Dave Filoni called you up and said, "Hey, Rosario, Ahsoka Tano." I mean,
and then I'd go.
There's fan art. I thought this was a done deal.
That I'd have to see it on FaceTime now these days. I'd have to see it live to
I'll tweet.
Someone just pranking me on the phone.
I'll tweet you some. There's definitely a lot of fan buzz over this. In Star Trek, who would you want to play?
My dad just came up with this, actually, and now I can't get it out of my head, which I think would be the coolest thing, because we've all been tripping now that Patrick Stewart is back as Jean-Luc Picard in the Picard series.
Did you watch, by the way?
Really loving Discovery. Oh yeah, we're all really Trekkie people, and so we were talking. I was saying, maybe I could. I know people who do the makeup on it. I can just be a background Romulan or Vulcan, whatever. Like, it would just be so fun, to just kind of just throw me in there. I could just be I could walk through as a Klingon and just start saying, something, just background. And my brother got really mad and said, absolutely not. I was like, I could be like a red shirt play and then get killed right away. Like the red shirts always, he's like, no, we talked about this. You have to be a captain. Because he plays the Star Trek online game and he wants to do like missions and stuff. So I have to at least be a captain. But then my dad said that I should be Q.
Okay.
Because male Q, female Q, young, old Q, they're just all Q. The Q continuum. The Q. It would be great, because then I could jump on Discovery and I could be on Picard. I just want to be in a Jean-Luc Picard. That's it. Ahsoka and cute. That's it. It's
Okay, we
asking a
got
lot. I
it's
know it is asking a lot. I know that it's super
you
greedy, but
know,
I would retire after that. I would do it. I would not need who needs anything.
and it also seems like to be a time in Hollywood where casting has who can be cast in certain roles is it's wide open now. I
Yeah.
mean, especially even with Allegra in the books in the book that this is based on, Briarpatch is based on, she's a white man,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
did you know that going into the show?
I did, and I ended up not reading the book for that reason. Even though now I plan on, especially with this time, to start getting more into all of his books. But I wanted to do the interpretation of Andy's vision for this character, not get too caught up in the minutia of what, because my brain would fixate on it from reading the book to the script, like, oh, he changed that from him to her and why, and that's not what was important. What was important was figuring out what this story was and being in it in her shoes, the way Andy saw making this story into a TV show. And so since I was so loving getting backstory, but not even wanting to fully know all the details about how the episodes were moving ahead, it was definitely one of those ones where I'm so into my research, but it was one where I didn't do everything I possibly could because I didn't read the book. I didn't ask all those questions. I didn't read ahead. I just wanted to be really present to it and ask things that I felt like I needed to know, but not have the full world, which is interesting. I normally cut the fat off. And this one, I was just like really lean in my, the consumption of what I had for this character in this world.
If you're not able to revisit her, what are you going to miss most about playing Allegra? Those sick power suits, man.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I feel like so much could change about an Allegra in the future, which is what I'd be more excited about to see, like what we would change, and make that make sense. But I'm just so love where we were at, and I just want to just again shout out like gratitude. I made my cousin, my uncle's wife. Her name is Iris. She's an amazing artist, and so I had this made for everyone, and we went bowling and laser tagging with the cast and the crew and their families. Like we did that a couple times while we were filming this in New Mexico, and it just I really love everyone that I worked with, and I had these cards made because it's the Dill sisters, so the pickle dills. So it's
I love it.
It's a little tiger. And he's got
tigers are really hot right now. I don't know if you know. Tigers are a really big thing right now.
So he's fighting the little pickle.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
And I felt like all the creativity and stuff that went into this, it's just like unbelievable. It felt like doing theater. Where you do so much and then it's only there in that one moment and then it's gone. And to have a show like this where I could see doing it for years and being able to keep growing this character, it just feels so rich and ripe for more discovery. To just know that it is just like that's it, that we just did these 10 episodes and that it could not maybe be more is just heart-wrenching and just making me super nostalgic as, having just watched the episode and just thinking about the journey that we all had going in there. I mean, the lightning storms and, it's New Mexico, like the green water and drinking, I was drinking chlorophyll water all the time because the altitude is super high in Albuquerque. Otherwise I'd get really bad headaches. It just was such an experience. Oh my goodness.
Sounds like it. Did you have any of those chilies that they have out there? That's a really
It's
big
in
thing.
everything. Like it's in everything.
Yeah. Is it the green chilies?
It just was like green or red. Like it was just green chili. This was like
Well, we have a couple questions that we ask everybody now that everyone is self-isolating. And the first one is, what are you binging?
What am I binging? I just binged with my mom. We watched All Rise. The Simone Missick. We got to work together on the Marvel shows, and she's amazing, and I love her, and it was really fun to watch that and support her.
Did you watch Tiger King? Have you watched that one?
No, not yet.
hit us up when you do. We have some
By the
follow-ups about
way,
that.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I know. Look, we're
love us.
what are you most looking forward to when this is all over?
Seeing my boyfriend, and my daughter.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to be able to do that in general because I just want us all to be healthy. So I don't want to take anything for granted when this is over. This is a unpredictable situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Rosario, thank you so much for jumping on the Variety After Show. This was so fun to talk to you
Yeah, this
about
was cool.
the finale of Briarpatch. Here, I have my little, I have a little LaCroix. You
I
cheers into
love
her.
it. I had my tissue box like literally crying.
It has a giraffe. That's very appropriate. Very
It's like Animal
appropriate.
Kingdom in here. I've got all my like.
Are we going to ignore the giant teddy bear behind you?
No, you
Can we?
can't. This is Bay.
Who is that?
This is Bay.
Bay?
Hmm.
And where did you get Bay from?
And look, Bay's got a little Corey button.
Now we
Bay,
know.
and she needs him Bay.
Adorable.
So we've got our
Adorable.
Survive, Chuckle, Show Affection. It's my favorite comic book
So cute.
on Instagram guy.
Oh,
Nathan Tile.
amazing.
Yeah, do you know Strange Planet? They're amazing.
Yes. Yes.
They're so
Love
good.
that stuff. So funny. But this was a delight. Thank you so much for hopping on with us. And
Yeah, thanks for having me.
we'll check in with you. Be safe and be well.
Thank you. Bless you, love. Take care of you.
Thank you.